Okay.
But you'll probably have heard of this. I'm assuming, and a lot of our listeners probably had heard of this. I wanted to cover it because I only knew the broad strokes of it, and I wanted to learn some of the details, and I'm so glad that I did.
Is Winona Ryder involved?
Kind of.
Oh.
Kind of hashtag inspo.
Okay.
For Winona.
Girl Interrupted.
Kind of some hashtag girl interrupted inspo.
Love that movie.
Okay. So, Elizabeth Jane Cochran was born on May 5th, 1864 in the town of Cochran's Mills in western Pennsylvania.
Cochran of the Cochran's Mills Cochrans?
Okay, but literally, yes, she was
Nailed it.
one of those Cochrans.
Nailed it.
The town was actually named after her father, Michael Cochran.
Get it?
He'd started out as a laborer and mill worker, but eventually worked his way up and managed to buy the local mill and most of the land surrounding his family farmhouse back when that was still possible.
Okay, guy.
He later became a merchant, then a postmaster, and finally associate justice in the town that he founded.
Wow.
And I swear I'm not padding my case. This stuff about her dad and her childhood is actually relevant.
Okay.
So just stick with me. So Michael was married twice. He had 10 children with his first wife,
No.
Catherine Murphy.
No. Goodbye.
Jesus.
Then I'm pretty sure Catherine died, and then he married
Yeah,
again.
after having 10 kids, I'd fucking die too.
She was wore out.
I would
just the
lay
first
down
round.
and just die.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah.
you'd melt into the earth. That's
Yeah.
what happens.
Absolutely.
Game over.
I love her so much, but she has been sick and has not done one full week of daycare yet because she's always sick. And so they're just random days. It's like this lottery that like one day this week, I don't know which day, I won't be able to accomplish anything.
Yeah,
She'll
but
be home from school.
in the 1800s, you just put them outside.
Yeah.
Yes.
They didn't.
You wrap them in snow
They didn't have
until their
daycare.
sniffles go
They didn't
away.
have work
No,
from
I know.
home.
I'm just saying it's a lot. And I have one.
She's just saying she knows exactly how it feels to have 10 kids in
Exactly.
the 1800s rural Pennsylvania.
I get it.
That's all she's saying.
I get it.
I fucking get
get
it.
it.
Girl boss, you can do this, mama.
Where's the laudanum?
Where's the laudanum?
Okay, so first wife dies after 10 kids. She's wore the fuck out. Then he marries again to a woman named Mary Jane Kennedy, which just reminded me of Jessica. And had
Totally.
5 more children with his second wife.
Dude,
So we had
stop.
15 kids?
Cut it out. He's
Cut it off. You're done.
the common denominator.
Yeah.
He's a monster.
Put your dick away. It's
Well-
unreasonable.
Ugh.
Elizabeth was part of this second batch of kids. She was the 13th.
Jesus Christ.
That's so gross.
But when Elizabeth was just 6 years old, her prominent father died. And that meant that his estate would have to be split up amongst his 15 children.
They each get
leaving-
$5.
Yeah, you each get a
Basically.
blade of grass from the farm.
Basically, yeah. It was like for one dude, it was wealthy. But when you split it amongst 15 and a lot of the children are now adults, it meant that his widow was left just a small fraction of the wealth that they'd once enjoyed.
Oh, I'd be pissed.
That's bullshit.
Right.
Everything should go to the spouse.
Yep.
And then when the spouse dies, then it goes to the kids.
But then
Yeah.
the second wife could choose to fuck the first 10 kids over and only give the money to her own kids.
Well, not her problem. Sorry. The other woman had so many kids, it literally made her fall down and die. And now this other woman fucking comes in and has fucking 5 more because her fucking husband needed his dick cut off. This is not, it's not my
about
problem.
It
What
is
about the
obscene.
eldest boy?
I am the
fuck
eldest boy.
You're
Fine.
not.
Succession. Go to the eldest boy. I don't care. But this is fucking, I hate this. I hate everything about this. I'm so upset.
Okay. So Elizabeth's mother soon remarried like for survival.
Yeah. She has 15 kids.
She has
She-
2
well, she
blades
10
of
of them
grass.
aren't hers.
No, she has 5. I don't know if she's taking care of some of the first 10.
You know she is.
Probably.
Yeah.
But she remarries just to have an income, but her second husband was abusive, so she quickly divorced him.
Oh, God, she
And then
can't catch
she
a break.
relocated with her children to present-day Pittsburgh. But she's basically
Oh,
penniless.
God, and now she has to live in Pittsburgh?
I was just going to say, this poor woman.
I can't believe she hasn't laid down to die yet. Just let the earth take her. The coal-laden, oil-soaked earth of Pittsburgh can just take her into the ground.
I can smell it.
Yeah, Pittsburgh has a smell.
So financially, times are tough, and Elizabeth knew that she would need to help support her family. And since there were like 2 possible professions for women at the time, that meant that she would have to train to become a teacher.
Mother and teacher.
Right.
Seamstress, wet nurse,
Yeah,
mother.
exactly.
No,
So
There are
she
your
was like, I
options.
guess, teacher. So at the age of 15, she enrolled in Indiana Normal School in Pennsylvania,
I love a normal school. I
That's
don't know why they're
confusing.
called that. I love
which
it.
is now called the Indiana University of Pennsylvania.
The Indiana University of Normalcy in Pennsylvania. Here for it.
Why are they called
Miami
normal
of
schools?
Ohio.
I don't know. Look it up. Around this time, she also added an E to her last name to sound more distinguished. So she's Elizabeth Cochran now.
Wow.
Big change, big diff. But due to lack of funds, Elizabeth was only able to stay enrolled for 1 semester because then they couldn't afford to keep her in school anymore. So then in 1880, she had to move back in with her mother to help run a boarding house in Pittsburgh.
Okay, I figured it out.
Okay.
By figured it out, I mean Googled it. The term normal school is based on the French École Normale, a 16th century model school with model classrooms where model teaching practices were taught to teacher candidates. So it's like trained teachers
Oh.
and
Got
not
it.
just like a lady from each town.
Right. Okay. Cool. So it's the original teaching colleges. Okay. So in 1885, so for 5 years, she's been out of college and back home helping her mom run this boarding house because like needs must, right? But she's smart and she wants more in life. So in 1885, Elizabeth read an article in the Pittsburgh Dispatch called "What Girls Are Good For."
Oh my God. Do you
would
have
not
the article?
lasted, no, I wish. We would not have lasted 4 seconds in this era.
I don't know.
This is the worst era.
I'm ready. I'm
All
ready to
we've
have
done
all
is
of my
complain.
agency taken away. You
clothes
throw
weren't
a
even
dartboard.
cute.
You throw
Or
a
the hair.
dartboard or a dart at a dartboard with 3 possible jobs on it, and just
Yeah.
see which one you get.
This
Yeah.
is the worst era.
It
It's
really
pretty
is.
rough.
Besides the fact that like there's emancipation, other than that, it's the worst era.
Lots of like coal and smoke, industrial revolution,
Puffy sleeves,
stripes.
bad
Well, I'm talking to you
curls.
two. You're both wearing
Okay.
stripes, but you know what I mean. You know what I mean.
Stripes have a place in modern society,
Lace.
honey.
Lace.
Lace.
Yeah.
Every,
Velvet.
every shoe was like
Oh.
laced up, like a
Yeah.
lot of laces.
Yeah.
So uncomfortable all the time.
A pointed, laced up leather boot was your daily shoe. No.
And it was always too small.
No Rothy's.
Belonged
no
to your mom.
Rothy's, no fucking thick foam neon green Target slides.
Oh.
Ugh, I love my slides. They're so comfy.
Okay, so it's the worst era, and she reads this article, "What Girls Are Good For,"
I can't.
in the newspaper.
Oh, I thought you said
and-
she wrote it. At least
No,
read
she
it.
read it.
Good.
She's being inspired by this incredible piece.
And surprise,
Think
surprise.
piece.
It at this think piece advocated traditional gender roles for women and argued that a woman's place is in the home and that her main role is to be a helpmate to a man. Hashtag trad wife TikTok. 1885 edition.
Yikes.
So these kinds of articles were commonplace, but it pissed her the fuck off, especially having seen the result of what relying on a man for everything had on her own mother, who was just like overnight through no fault of her own rendered penniless and then abused and then had no job opportunities.
After splitting open for 5 kids.
Yeah.
Ugh.
So she
And
said,
marrying into an existing 10 kids.
yeah. Yeah.
Oh, I will never recover from that.
Yeah. So she sent an anonymous letter to the editor signing off as Lonely Orphan Girl.
Love this.
Her writing skills impressed the editor, George Madden, and he gave her a job writing for the paper.
Okay.
Her
At
first
15?
No.
Oh.
Now she's 20.
Oh, okay.
Her first article, entitled The Girl Puzzle, argued for better job opportunities for women. Her second, Mad Marriages, was about how divorce affected women. In it, she argued for reform of divorce laws.
Good
This
for
time,
her.
though, she was badass from day one. This time, though, she used a pen name, which was customary for women writing at that time because, they didn't want to bring shame on the family
By having an opinion.
Well, publishing it.
So her editor chose the name Nellie Bly. At first, Nellie with a Y, like Band-Aid Nellie.
Why have I heard of that before?
Yeah,
It's famous.
So this was initially after a popular minstrel song by Stephen Foster. So really problematic. Quick side quest into minstrel songs. This one was published in 1850 and was about two black kitchen maids who sing and play the banjo as they sweep the floor and stoke the fire.
Oh, God.
It's mainly offensive for its use of exaggerated black scent spellings stoke the fire kind of stuff. Other than that, it's not
Well, they're just so happy to be sweeping the floor.
Yeah.
Right. It is problematic. it's less violently problematic as some other minstrel songs, I will say. But it's still horribly problematic. It also was used, bizarrely, as a campaign song for Abraham Lincoln.
Oh, good.
Okay.
So anyway, I guess her editor liked the name, and she was new. She had just written 2 articles, so she rolled with it. Although the Y was changed to an IE by typo, and she just rolled with that as well. So now she's like, all right, I guess my pen name is Nellie Bly.
All right.
So Nellie Bly started to make a name for herself, writing about the lives of working women with a focus on women working in factories. But factory owners started to get pissed, and they complained about Bly's articles to the Pittsburgh Dispatch's editors. She was too heavy hitting.
Stop empowering women.
Bly was then pushed into the women's pages and forced to write about fashion, parties, and high society, which she was not here for. This was not what she had signed up for. And so when she was 21, she left Pittsburgh and traveled to Mexico to work as a foreign correspondent for her paper.
Cool.
Which I'm sure raised a few eyebrows. I don't know for a fact, but she might have been the first female foreign correspondent for a newspaper.
Sweet. I like her. Can I like her?
Yes. She spent the next 6 months reporting on the lives of the Mexican people and even protesting the imprisonment of a local journalist who had been critical of the Mexican government. When she was threatened with arrest herself, she had to return to the U.S., but once back on U.S. soil, she let loose and wrote diatribes about Mexico's leader, Porfirio Diaz, accusing him of being a tyrannical czar, suppressing the Mexican people, controlling the press, all the things that he was, in fact, doing. Finally, Nellie decided that her time at the Pittsburgh Dispatch had run its course, and she quit with a note, and this note is amazing. This is her I'm quitting note. It said simply, quote, "I am off for New York. Look out for me, Bly."
Perfect. Keep it short, sweet, to the point.
Bye.
That's good journalism.
Yeah. In 1887, she secured a position at Joseph Pulitzer's newspaper, The New York World.
Of the Pulitzers?
Yes. And her very first assignment for this publication was an epic work of stunt journalism that is still well known today, almost 150 years later. She was to gain admission to the Women's Lunatic Asylum, a mental facility located on Blackwell's Island, which is now Roosevelt Island in New York City, where they occasionally have like outdoor concerts. To do so, she used a pseudonym, Nellie Brown, and then successfully tricked a number of people. First, people at the Temporary Home for Females, which is like a halfway house kind of for like destitute women. Then policemen from the Essex Market Police Court, and finally doctors at Bellevue Hospital, all into believing that she was genuinely insane.
Yeah, I've heard of this.
Yeah.
To do this, she stayed up all night to give herself the wide-eyed look of a disturbed woman.
Tag yourself.
Right. To give herself the wide-eyed look of a mom. And began making accusations that the other boarders at the Temporary Home for Females were insane, which I think is like such a funny way to do it. You're like, psst, all these people are crazy. So Bly told the assistant matron, quote, "There are so many crazy people about and one can never tell what they will do." So good. When several doctors came to examine her, all declared her insane. Quote, "Positively demented," said one.
The New York Times called her.
Quote, "I consider it a hopeless case. She needs to be put where someone will take care of her."
Incredible.
That was Amanda in her backyard earlier.
I consider
Front
it
yard,
a
and yes.
hopeless case.
Send her to the bar.
And thus, she was eventually sent to the asylum on Blackwell's Island, which was her goal. She was even able to fool other reporters who came to see her there. And I was curious why reporters would bother to go to Blackwell's Island to report on like the one random woman because they didn't know
Who she was.
Yeah. So I looked into it. And it turns out Nellie was a fox. She was just like,
She's just hot. Okay. Oh, God.
And reporters wanted to write the story of the, quote, beautifully troubled girl.
The hot, crazy girl.
Yeah, Winona.
Yeah.
She's not like other girls.
Oh, God.
Who ended up in an asylum. So they were like, she's pretty. We should like look into this.
I like
Lord.
this manic pixie vibe.
Yeah. Right? I can save her.
I can save her.
Ish.
And so the story, even before her real identity was known, had already drawn significant media interest. The New York Sun inquired, "Who is this mentally distressed girl?" Suddenly everybody cares because she's pretty.
Yeah.
So funny. Meanwhile, the New York Times described her as a, quote, puzzling wanderer with a wild, haunted expression in her eyes.
I like
Back in Pittsburgh, they're just like, oh, shit, that's just Nellie. What's everybody fucking losing their minds about?
I like positively demented better.
Yeah.
And her distressing plea, "I can't recall. I can't recall."
She's genius.
Yeah. In total, Nellie Bly spent 10 days in the asylum, during which time she witnessed appalling neglect and mistreatment of the patients. And while some of them clearly did require mental health care, although they weren't getting proper or adequate care there, but like they clearly required something, others had simply been sent there by their families who just wanted to like be rid of them.
Yeah,
or
we don't
teach
know
them
what to
a
do with you.
lesson, or like, yeah.
And they're all women, too.
In her, not at the whole asylum, but in
where
her
she was.
ward. Yeah.
The people she was reporting on, though.
Yeah. Yeah. There were probably some like LGBTQ folks in there whose families were like, get out of here. Others were grappling with physical, not mental illnesses, but like people couldn't be fucked to take care of them. Bly also met women at the asylum who were perfectly sane, but were just foreigners.
Oh, okay. Great.
I can't understand a word you're saying.
You must be crazy.
Literally.
Oh, my God.
They'd ended up in Blackwell because they couldn't speak enough English to communicate their situation to the authorities.
Oh,
So they just
my
dumped
God.
them there.
Yeah. not
Guilty. Oh my God,
Totally.
it's real.
That's so sad.
I'm sure that's what that's based on.
Yeah.
Oh, Jesus.
One young foreign woman, for instance, was sent there by her jealous husband for her, quote, interactions with other men, but she couldn't communicate that to the police, or they just like weren't there to hear it from her.
Oh my God.
So they just sent her to this asylum.
Yeah,
Jesus
better not
Christ.
wave at another man or your fucking bonkers husband might just put you in an institution.
Which they had every right to do.
Yeah.
Because you
The
are
husbands could
property.
Mm.
God, Bill
So
wishes.
imagine being married to someone and like they're abusive and they could just hold this over your head. Like I could just send you to
Yep.
the
An
asylum.
Mm-hmm. That'd be terrifying.
So Bly reported that nurses acted rudely and cruelly, silencing patients with threats and even physical abuse. Staff restrained the more unstable patients with ropes and made everyone sit on uncomfortable benches in the freezing cold.
Like the benches with the rope.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. The food was almost unspeakably bad. It included watery broth, spoiled meat, like Lucy said. I thought it was just to save money, but apparently it had a
therapeutic
probably
effect.
both.
probably both. Barely edible bread and dirty water,
Ugh.
like non-potable water.
Yeah.
Toilet water.
Yeah. The place was littered with waste and rats just roamed freely throughout the hospital.
Yep.
This reminds me of that Geraldo expose of the.
Yeah. I mentioned that in my segment.
Ugh.
One of the things that struck her the most was witnessing the patients' baths. The bathwater was ice cold and poured directly over patients' heads in buckets, followed by an extremely rough washing by attendants, like with like caustic
Bristle, hard bristle stuff.
and soaps. It was probably extremely painful.
Ugh.
Oh, God.
Their soap
and
can't
if,
be good.
And if they're bleeding or whatever, it's just into this water.
Yeah.
Ugh,
it's
they
the,
reuse.
the infection and, oh, God.
The bathwater was usually not replaced, and many patients had to bathe in the same dirty water one after another.
Oh, I'm going to throw up.
When it was changed, the staff didn't bother to clean the tubs, but instead just refilled it and put the next patient in the stained, dirty tub from the one before.
Ew.
Ew.
Also horrific, this one's really gross. You might actually throw up. Brace yourselves.
I'm fine.
Also horrific was the towel trading, where people with sores and skin conditions, along with people who were healthy, had to share towels which were unwashed.
Ew.
No.
When she wasn't being forced to eat rancid meat, eat moldy bread, or take freezing cold baths, Nellie tried to sleep. Like she tried, when she was on her own, she tried to just like get through it and sleep.
She's going to turn crazy. For real.
Oh, she very easily could have. I would have.
I would have.
But she often couldn't sleep because she was
Yeah.
like, so like, there's such adrenaline and like she's anxious and amped
And it's
up and
chaos in
terrified.
there,
And
and everyone
freezing.
is
People are
screaming.
screaming,
And,
yeah.
Yeah.
And I'm sure like sleeping on the floor or on like a
Mhm.
shitty cot. Like it's just horrible. There are rats.
Yeah. Crawling every which way. No.
So she would stay up at night thinking about how dangerous the asylum was. She thought especially about how easy it would have been for a small fire to take the whole building down with everyone in it.
Yeah. And they're all locked into these wards. They can't get out.
Bly said, quote, "A fire is not improbable, but actually one of the most likely occurrences. Should the building burn, the jailers or nurses would never think of releasing their crazy patients."
No. They
That was
let
a-
them burn in there.
That was another thing about so the fire happened after the Civil War in the hospital I was talking about.
Mm-hmm.
But during the Civil War, when the Union soldiers like took it over and all the attendants fled, they just left the
Yeah.
patients there.
No,
and
they're
only a couple people, I think they were all African Americans, came back
Mm-hmm.
and with the keys and let people out.
not.
Well, the people who are running these facilities at this time are so brutal to these patients that if they were to let them out, they would probably be
Mm-hmm.
there would probably be retaliatory repercussions.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, I would want to kill someone who treated me like this.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
not only
if
are
given
they
the opportunity.
not only are they just the
not seen
conditions
as
are
human.
inhumane, so that they're not seen as human, but they also wouldn't want to let them out because if they did, it's like, well, I'm not going to let you out just so you can attack me,
Right.
and then neither of us escape this fire,
Right.
you know.
That's why
Right.
some of those like prison riots that you see that
Yeah.
they
Yeah.
just like flee. It's like, oh, we're just going to let it burn out, let it run its
Yeah.
course because we
Yeah,
can't.
because I don't want to
I'm
get.
We've
wanna
been
go in
so
there.
fucking horrific to these
Yeah.
people.
If I stay, I could be fucking killed.
Yeah.
Bye.
So, finishing her quote about the fire potential. This I can prove to you later when I come to tell of their cruel treatment of the poor things entrusted to their care. As I say, in case of fire, not a dozen women could escape. All would be left to roast to death. Even if the nurses were kind, which they are not, it would require more presence of mind than women of their class possess to risk the flames and their own lives while they unlocked the 100 doors for the insane prisoners.
Yeah, no, they're just gonna run.
Yeah.
They're not gonna fucking do that.
No. And this was not a crazy or overly anxious proposition. Like Lucy said, there was this other big fire at an insane asylum. Fun fact, Zelda Fitzgerald, the wife of the author, died in a fire in an asylum in 1948.
Whoa, I didn't know that.
I didn't know that either. I knew that she had been committed at various points. I didn't know that.
Well, I sure hope you liked that clip. If you did like that clip, make sure you are subscribing to our YouTube channel, leaving us a nice review, and joining us on Patreon for even more video content, audio content, salacious content all around. Come join us. Treat yourself.